I was dating a young lady. I was always pretty smooth with the girls. I still am. That's another interview. And she was modeling with Ebony Fashion Fair. And she meet, like so many people because she's 6'2", and she's beautiful. So when she gets a phone number from someone, it's the real phone number. So she said, I know this guy who said he plays with Luther. It was Marcus. She had no idea who he really was, but she had the bat phone number from him. So we're playing on the phone, and I had to do the dialing three-way. So she said, let's call my friend Marcus. I was like, yeah, let's call Marcus. We call him, he doesn't answer. She calls Lenny White. We call Bernard Wright. No one answers the phone. So I called back like a year later. I didn't want to just call the man. I don't know him. She knows him. I don't know him. But I wanted to get out of Columbus very badly. So I just dialed the number, and Marcus, hello. I'm a friend of Tina's. I'm sorry. My name is Foley. I'd love to send you a tape. And he said, yeah, sure, send me a tape. And that's how he got it.
Okay, so you mean you sent a tape to Marcus, not thinking of Miles?
Not thinking of Miles.
An accident. So it was, this is a miracle, like they call it.
Yes, it was a miracle. It was a divine intervention, because I had written a song called The Senate, which is bizarre, for Miles, never thinking he would hear the song. And that was the song that got me in the band with him. That was the song that he heard Marcus playing in the background. He was listening to it when he called him. It's crazy. And then we ended up playing that song over 600 times in 5 years. When Miles heard my tape, he had called Marcus Miller to see how he was doing, Malibu to New York. And I had sent a tape to Marcus that he had gotten 2 months before Miles called him. And Miles called him, and they're talking. And Miles heard my music while he's talking to Marcus on the phone. He said, who is that? What is that? And he said, it's this kid or something from Ohio, Foley. He said, let me hear that. So Marcus has the phone to the speaker, Malibu to New York. And he said, give me that kid's number. And he called, and he asked me if I wanted to play with him over the phone, and told me to send the same tape that I sent Marcus. And he hung up. And he said, be at rehearsal next Thursday. I went to my first rehearsal in New York, and I had to go up to his room to meet him to discuss some of the music. And he opened the door, and it was like, I was like, fuck, it's him, it's really him. And he hit me in the stomach.
Boxing.
Yeah, he's just, like a Bruce Lee, pull the punch back. And he was glad to see me, and he gave me a big hug. He said, you crazy motherfucker, because the lead bass, he'd never heard anything like this. He said, you're doing all that with a bass? You crazy motherfucker. And I was like, oh shit, it's really him, And I listened to Miles's 80s work, but I didn't know all the prior stuff with Coltrane and with Herbie and those guys. I was too young for that. I was only listening to Miles in my era, the 80s Miles. And I knew that. And it was so funny. And I had to go backwards and learn the real Miles as I was there with him. But I only knew You're Under Arrest and The Man with the Horn, But it's just crazy. It's crazy. Going back to the early recordings of Miles to really hear him, because he didn't like to discuss it much. He didn't want to play it much. So I couldn't really ask him anything. And I went to get a lesson from him one day. And he said, you don't want a lesson from me because you're going to sound like me. You don't want to do that. You'll get it. Just keep playing. You'll get it. But you don't want to sound like me, because if I teach you, you're going to sound like me. And listening to all of those old recordings, which I still do now. I'm learning cannonball solos right now from Sid's Ahead solo. I'm learning that on lead bass just for my own ears, But listening to Miles then and now, there's no difference. He still played as brilliantly as he did then as he did when I was there. He was just a little older. There's no change. Still very adventurous. No change in him.